Good morning and welcome to Monday Mornings with Margie. I hope you all are doing well. I've been thinking about some good relevant topics to discuss in Monday Mornings with Margie, and obviously there's a lot going on and there's a lot of relevant topics, but one thing that came to mind was vaccinations. The reason why is obviously we're at that point in dealing with COVID right now, and people are starting to get vaccinations, and there's lots of views about vaccinations. And I just want to put out there that the point of discussion vaccinations is not that my agenda is to push anyone in any one direction. I understand that that getting a vaccination is a personal choice and a choice people make with their doctors. But I do know there's a lot of people who have fears or anxieties or worries. And so I thought it would be helpful to talk about it with two people who have both gone through the process. And also, well, let me take a step back. I have Coach Kerry, life coach Kerry here with me, who also happens to be my spouse. And she has actually been volunteering her time at a local vaccination site and supporting people who are going through the process. So I thought it would be interesting to get her perspective from a helper standpoint as well. So with all that said, welcome, Kerry, and thank you for being part of Monday Mornings with Margie again.
Hello.
So I guess I wanted to start off a little bit with maybe if you wanted to share a little bit about your experience for yourself with going and getting the vaccination and what that experience was like.
Well, first let me say that the reason that I have gotten vaccinated is because I work for a company in health that is owned by a hospital system, and we are expected to follow all their healthcare policies, and that includes various vaccinations. So this, just like the flu shot, this is another thing that they they asked us to consider getting to stop the spread. So fortunately, we were able to get it, and that's why I was able to get vaccinated. So I've only had my first shot. I actually go get my second shot tomorrow. But the first shot, you know, you arrive and you feel really nervous, right? At least I did. And not because I'm afraid of shots, I'm not, but because this was new. It's felt kind of momentous. It isn't sort of the annual flu shot. And so there was a little bit of nerves. And I have to say it was a very easy process once you were in there. And afterwards, they have you sit for a little while. And then you may have some side effects, like later on that day or the next day. And what was for me was I had a super sore arm and a tiny bit of a headache the next day. And that's a pretty common set of side effects. And I have to say that kind of experience, I certainly would do that first shot again. It really wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with you. You know, I know there's people who have difficulties with getting shots or blood taken. So, you know, that's like a whole nother kind of area where people can be really nervous, but I don't have that sort of phobia or fear. But I agree with you on that whole momentous part, because I felt it when I was standing in line. You know, you walk into this particular site, and you know, there's all the places where you stand, so you're 6 feet apart, and there's sort of a group of people that are waiting, and then several rooms that you can go into. And sort of as you're standing there, there's sort of this like this vibe of both like relief that this is happening, and nervousness. People are kind of looking at each other, smiling, because it's just kind of a big thing. And the actual process of getting it was quick and easy. I had a similar response to the first shot. I haven't gotten my second shot yet, with the sore arm and a little bit of headache, and maybe a little bit of fatigue, but that lasted about a day. And then I felt fine. I felt normal. So it'll be interesting to see how the second shot goes. You were telling me something interesting about the needles and what the needle looks like on TV versus the needle when you go in person. I was wondering if you could share that with people.
Sure. We learned from some people who do videotaping for TV that the needles that they use in television to demonstrate or show people getting shots are big, and we've had several people come in to the site and say, a needle looks so big on TV. And it's because if you're filming, if you used the actual size of the needle of the COVID injection, you wouldn't see it because it's so small. So they put fake big ones in. So then, of course, that just scares people. But so the needle is actually very small. It's probably even smaller than the flu shot needle. But the TV, they can't do that.
I think it's a really interesting fact, because when you do see it on TV, and that's, where most people are seeing people getting it done is on the news. It's just interesting to have that fact out there so people understand the reality of when you go in, what it actually looks like versus what you're seeing on TV. So
it is interesting because you try to be a critical thinker, right, or consumer of news and TV. But if some news story is showing you an injection or showing you someone getting a COVID vaccine and the needle looks big, you don't think, oh, I'm sure they swapped out a bigger needle for the cameras. You don't think about that. So I think it is an important thing. And it made me really think about, gosh, there's probably other little things like that happen that I don't even recognize. But that if we knew would make us feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I was hoping that you could speak a little bit to, because I know that you've had the opportunity to volunteer now 3 or 4 times at this site where people are getting the vaccine. So you've been more of an observer and a helper and supporter, I guess, versus the patient or the person getting it. And, I know you've had thoughts and feelings about the experience from that perspective. And I was wondering if you were willing to share a little bit about what that has felt like, or some of the thoughts you've had as you've had these different experiences.
Sure. It's actually been a very emotional experience, more than I thought it would be. First, because the first couple of times that I volunteered, it was healthcare providers. So here I was, helping people through the process. It's a little bit of organization of what I'm doing, but I'm also sitting in the room with people when they get their vaccination. And they were nervous and scared too. Some healthcare providers are afraid of shots themselves. There were nurses who were like, I'm scared. I don't like needles. You do this every day. But they knew how important it was. And they also were so grateful to be able to receive it, because they have been scared in going to work. Right? They have been stressed for so long, and they're really grateful. And so some of them were really happy, others were scared, others were just grateful. And that was really emotional to be part of. And I felt really honored to be able to be there and provide a little bit of organization and support. And, now it's moved to where people who are 75 and older can receive the vaccines. And I'd have to say the majority of the people who came in they might be a little nervous, but they're so grateful because they felt so scared as well. Like I felt kind of trapped in their homes and separated from their families. And so they feel like this is a step towards getting things back to normal. And it's been fun to actually talk with some of them. Some have even said to me, my kids don't know I'm here because they don't believe in the shot or they're afraid of the shot, of the vaccine. But we know it's important to us. So we're going to tell them when we're done, which was kind of funny, right? But it's been interesting in that people have recognized they're doing something part of history. And I've had several people ask me to take photos of them getting their vaccine, which I've done. And then there's a big sort of sign outside that says, I gave it my best shot, or I took my best shot, that you can take after you've had the vaccine done, to sort of, take a moment and recognize what you're doing. So I have to say, overall, it's been a really positive experience and way more emotional than I would have thought.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because at Achieve, we're all getting the vaccinations, or 95% of us are getting them. And some people have had their pictures taken, either while they're getting it or, their card after. And it's a really, like you're saying, it's this really interesting experience because I think people who have been on the front lines in particular, or elderly or older adults who have been more isolated in their homes, it's like that step in the direction of relief of fear. And then also this sense of like, you can kind of reemerge into life to some degree, more than what you've been experiencing, for almost the past year.
It is, it's important to know, and we remind people when they get their vaccine, that right now, as far as we know, you can still be a carrier of COVID, even if you've been vaccinated and might not get sick yourself, or might have very, very mild symptoms. You can still carry the virus and give it to others. So masking is still important. Social distancing is still important until we get to that place of the herd immunity that we've talked about, where so enough of people have been vaccinated that we can interact with one another differently. And that's going to take many more months because of the way the process has to go to allow a larger percentage of the population to get vaccinated. So sometimes people think that, oh, I've been vaccinated, it's fine, I don't have to wear a mask, but that's not true.
Right. But there is the relief of knowing like that you likely can't catch it, or if you do catch it,
absolutely,
the likelihood of a severe case of it is very low.
Absolutely.
Almost non-existent in some of these. So, but absolutely true. This is like kind of step one in the process, but it's like, it's so huge in this process, for people who feel like they can get it and are able to get it. And it really feels, it felt like for me too, like I'm doing something for other people as well. In this process, I'm doing something for my family, I'm doing something for the community, which we've just never been. This is like the last year has been so unprecedented, and every step feels like a big deal. So.
Oh, I was going to say the other question a lot of people have when they get the vaccine is one, they always ask me which one I got, the Pfizer or Moderna, and they ask me is there a difference, or should I get one or the other? And their efficacy is so close, it doesn't matter. The important thing is to get the one you can soonest get. And they're giving them out based on availability and supply. So it doesn't matter which one you get. They will both work. You know, more are coming out on the market, and obviously they'll let us know what the efficacy of those are. But for now, if you're offered either Moderna or Pfizer, take whichever one you can get.
Okay. Are there any last words or thoughts or stories or anything you wanna wrap up with, or was that kind of your parting words?
I think this is a really important, I know I've said part of history, but it's really about us keeping ourselves and others safe. And I think it really is about helping us move toward the life that we want to live with each other, out in the world, being able to enjoy things we enjoy and spend time the way we like to spend time. And this will get us there faster. So I think if people have questions, they should talk to their doctor. They will be getting contacted by their insurance companies, by their doctors, by lots of people to encourage them. And if they have concerns or questions, they should ask.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing I was thinking about, sort of along those lines also is, you know, there's some people out there that right now might be struggling with anxiety or depression, maybe for the first time, you know, maybe COVID has sort of unleashed something, or someone who's struggled on and off with anxiety and depression for a long time. And it can be hard on a good day to try to like motivate and do the things you need to do. And also some of the ways some people have to sign up is through the internet and through links, and that can feel overwhelming, whether it's because you're, you know, struggling with mental health issues or you're older and maybe not as tech savvy. So I think the other thing I would say to people in those situations is reach out to somebody that you love and loves you, who can help you if this is the choice you want to make in going forward with getting a vaccine. But part of it for you is like, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to sign up. I don't know how to make this link work for me. I think reaching out to people who care about you to help you, or on vice versa, if you have family members that you suspect need help in being able to move forward with this, with signing up, you reach out to them proactively to offer that help or support or motivation. I think this is like, we got to do this together. It's a team effort. And I think it's just another important point to put out there for people. So thank you for coming on my show again. You know, I hope people listening were able just to hear a little bit about how things are going out there, and again, make your own personal choice in consultation with your health professionals in your life. But I hope everyone's doing well. I hope that you have a good week. And I will be in touch and seeing you on Monday Mornings with Margie next week. Be well.